Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Sishadri. And today is going to be the last episode of this first year. It's been a pretty interesting ride, starting this podcast early on in this season and then going on through this very roller coaster season for Liverpool with you guys. And the podcast has grown from barely 10 listeners on the first episode to almost 1.5 thousand, so 1,500, 2,000 almost in some episodes. So yeah, it's pretty good, good progress, and I'm really thankful to all of you. But today is in some senses it's the final episode because we're doing spoiler alert. If you've clicked on this podcast, you already know what the title is. We're doing a season review, and joining me is someone who is well ingrained in the sports world. He's the social media manager for two sports teams, actually. One is Chennai FC in the Indian Super League. For those of you who don't know, Indian Super League is India's highest football league. And then he's also the social media manager for Sunrisers Hyderabad in the Indian Premier League, which is the highest, the cricket equivalent of the Indian Super League, I suppose, in some ways. Sudarshan, how are you, bro?
Hi, Sis. I'm good. What about you?
I'm good. Nice to have you here. Proper sports. I was about to go into speaking into Tamil, but okay. Yeah, no, finally good to have a proper sports person on the podcast, I suppose. I think for the first time, this podcast appears a little more legitimate than it actually is. But yeah, good to have you on. So for those of you listening, before we came onto the show, before Sudhar came onto the show, we've known each other outside of we've not known each other outside of Liverpool. That's what I wanted to say. Because he supports Liverpool, I support Liverpool, obviously, and that's how we've kind of known each other over the years. Before we came onto the podcast, so we decided to do the season review in a little bit of a different format, I suppose, to traditional ones. So we're going to talk about, I think we both have five sort of moments that have, or five things that have defined Liverpool's season this year, so for good and bad. So I'm pretty sure a couple of those will overlap, and I'm pretty sure a couple of those will not. And so we wanted to discuss a little bit more about all of these and just look back on what this year has been. And I believe Sudhar's got five moments or things that have defined Liverpool season. I've got my own five as well. I'm going to go ahead and let Sudhar take over and tell me what his five moments are. But before that, I want to make a prediction. I'm going to say at least two of them are going to be the same for me and him. So I'll leave it to Sudhar now, and he's going to tell me what his five season-defining moments are for Liverpool this year.
Yeah. So this season is completely different to what we have seen under Klopp for the last 4 years. So under Klopp, we had a major injury scare during his debut season when 10 to 12 players were injured, and then we had a pretty decent season in terms of cup run during his debut season. But then the finish was not that great as we finished 8th that season. And then the next season, we gradually evolved over the years, and I think Andres Conmeyer and Moyanama, or that this guy nutrition. Yeah. That nutritionist played a huge role in keeping the team fit. And yeah, that's a major hit. But this season, it's not been the case. So it's mainly because of the injuries that we have suffered. Injuries that not the muscle injuries, but the major injuries. So yeah, so nobody expected Van Dijk to get injured in that way, and obviously, Gomez is injury prone, and then Thiago got flattered by Richarlison. Yeah, and that's it. The top five, my five moments, the good and bad. It includes both good and bad. So my first would be away game against Chelsea. It's one of the best moments this season. So it wasn't. It doesn't flatten the scoreline. Flatter the scoreline. So we were 2-0, and we saw a glimpse of what the team could do over the course of the season. But then everything happened in a space of month, and the total defense went for a walk for us. So that is one. And then that's probably one of the worst is, I wouldn't say Aston Villa here, because I believe that's just a blip, and the team bounced back well also after that. So probably say Real Madrid has one of the worst games this season. Probably the away game. So we consider 3 cheap goals over there, and that shouldn't have happened in a game against Real Madrid. And in the reverse tie, you should at least hit the ball on target, which you failed to do so. And I believe everything cost us win. From the finishing, the defending, everything cost us. There is one. And then I will. What can I say? Yeah, and then Alisson header for sure.
Of
That
course,
is
yeah.
one of the highlights of the season for us. Uh, hmm, yeah, and then Palace also. Palace, I think we had 7 shots on target and we scored 7 goals that game. That's
Yeah.
man game. And then the another worst would be the Newcastle game
Mm.
when I think Gale, this guy Wilson's goal got ruled out, and then we considered another one in a matter of 30
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah, Joe Willock.
Yeah,
so
Joe
he's
Willock.
been playing really well. I think he might actually be player of the month as well this last month of the Premier League
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, could be.
Right. So is that 5 or is there one more still left? I
No,
didn't
these
actually back. Okay. So for me, I've done. I think a few of them are overlapping. So one was a West Brom game, the
Yeah.
Alisson West Brom equalizer. Not just the goal, but just the importance of that goal, because last day Leicester lost, Tottenham won, and Chelsea also lost. So, but we didn't know it at that point when we played West Brom. So that goal was extremely crucial. But also, that is one of my sort of overlaps with you. The other one was the West Brom game, which was in December. You mentioned Newcastle. That was right. Like one of those two games came together, I think. West Brom and then it was Newcastle. And from then on, that little 1.5 month period when we couldn't score at all, lost home games, that whole December-January period was quite horrible for us. So I think that changed our season.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Thiago getting injured because of Richarlison. That whole Everton game, the Van Dijk injury, the Thiago injury, that was, I think if like we had to pinpoint one moment that changed the entire season, I think we would probably say that was that Everton game, no?
Yeah.
I mean, and finally, I think my last two, I've kept it as the Man United game at Old Trafford, because we don't normally go there and win. So, like, I don't know, like off the air, like I've said it on other forums as well. We don't know. Every year we go to Old Trafford, and usually the best we can hope for is a draw, because either we are scared to play or something happens and we just don't play normally against them at Old Trafford. But this year, going there 4-2, right? The final score?
Yeah,
4-2. So that was a big game for us. And finally, just completely off the pitch, I've kept Super League and that whole thing as one big moment of the club. But that is more not on the field sort of impact. But let's start a little bit with what we have. The Alisson goal. Describe your emotions when that happened. Where were you? What were you doing? And what was the scene like wherever you were?
Yeah. So I was alone in my house, and usually I thought the game was over and started texting that we are going to take another useless corner. And then Alisson scored out of nowhere, and I started screaming like mad. And my father got up, and my mother was like, "What is happening to you?" So very mad. It's very mad. So just couldn't even believe even now. So goalkeeper scoring from a corner is just unbelievable.
Definitely. First time in Liverpool history also, which is what I was really surprised by, because I thought someone would have done it before that. But, Alisson, same thing, same scenes here also. I was also at home watching the game, screamed out. I think someone woke up, then I told them, it's nothing to worry, just it's okay. But Alisson, that West Brom goal, I think that was really crucial because our Champions League hopes were on that game.
Yeah.
How much do you think, not just the West Brom game obviously, but how much do you think qualifying for the Champions League is important for us in terms of we're going into a summer, there are some big names linked with Liverpool. I have been asking for Harry Kane, but Mbappe has been linked to Liverpool as well. Sancho is there. How important is Champions League? Or like, because some players sometimes what they'll do is they'll move to a club in the expectation that okay, this year I may not have Champions League, but next year we'll get if I join.
Mm.
So do you think players like? Do you think Mbappe joining is more of a possibility now? And it sounds like an obvious question, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So
No, go ahead.
But Champions League is huge for Liverpool, so you cannot miss out on Champions League. I mean, it's majorly because of the financial issues that the club will go through if we miss out on Champions League. So that is one. And second thing is attracting big names. You mentioned about Kane and Mbappe and all. So I don't think that's a real possibility because I think Kane and Mbappe would probably be around 120, 130 million easily, and then they will even require huge wages. So I don't think they both are a possibility, but I think Sancho is a possibility because I think Dortmund is also going through some financial pressure and they are willing to sell him at 75, 80 million. So I think Sancho is a real possibility, given that his wages might not be astronomical as these two guys. So I think Sancho is a possibility. I also, besides Konate, I see a forward and midfielder signing. So I think it should be between Bissouma. I think it's Bissouma. I'm not sure yet, but I think it's Bissouma.
Do you like Bissouma or would you prefer
No,
someone
I'm
else?
not a real fan of him, but he's a decent player. I agree with that, but he's a decent player. I hope we sign Tielemans because I watched him. Yeah, he has had a great season with Leicester, being the player of the season over there. And yeah, I think he will also be looking to play Champions League. So I think that's a major advantage with gaining the Champions League place this season.
Definitely. And Yuri Tielemans, obviously, great season at Leicester, won the FA Cup also for them. Now, the other game that you mentioned, which I thought was quite interesting, was the Chelsea game very early on in the season. I think the first time that, we saw what this full-strength Liverpool team was capable of. And I know this sounds like a very obvious question again, but do you think if we had that team, let's say Van Dijk does not get injured, Thiago stays fit, doesn't get injured, maybe other factors remain the same, but mainly those two. If that team that played against Chelsea in the second half, especially, if they were to have remained through the season, do you think we could have challenged City? Because City were really good this year.
Yeah. So, I think we would have easily challenged the title if even Van Dijk was fit. So let's.
Do you think we would have won? That is my next question. Do you think we'd have won against City?
City, yeah, I think we would have won the title again if Van Dijk was fit because you see the obvious difference over there when he's there, when he's playing and when he's not. So I think we would have won the title. So we could have rotated between Nats and Reece, and we could have pushed Fabinho in the midfield, which is a good thing for us. So pushing Fabinho in the midfield, and we have won crazy amount of games with him in midfield. So I think we would have won the title if Verge had stayed fit, but that's how it is. We have to take it and move on. Right now, it's a good finish. It's a good finish for us, finishing third out of nowhere at the end. So I think, we should be good next season.
Definitely. Finishing third out of nowhere, I think that sums it up pretty well. Because I think before the last 10 games, I think before we went on this run of 8 wins and 2 draws, I think we were 10 points out behind top 4 at that point before this run started. And then finally ending up third is pretty insane. You mentioned Fabinho coming into midfield. Part of the reason for that was Nat Phillips being sort of, becoming our de facto first choice centre back. So how do you think his future is a little bit of a debate? Do you think he should stay? Do you think he should go? Would you keep him for one season and then sell him, or what's your sort of ideal way to deal with Nat Phillips?
So I don't have a problem with him being fifth choice, but I wouldn't have him as a fourth choice. Mainly, even in the games he has played in, he has not been entirely convincing. He has made some 1 or 2 errors throughout the game, which has gone unnoticed. But that's okay. That's this quality, and we can't do anything about it. So I think it's better that we move him on this summer. So I think even some clubs should be interested in him. Some 10 to 15 million, move him on, and probably sign someone like Kalaitakar, who has been linked. who was about to leave to Liverpool in January. So I think makes sense to sell him and Matip and buy someone like Kaletakar and upgrade the defense line.
Yeah, I mean that's a good. Yeah, I think Nat Phillips can definitely, I think we can get 10-15 million for him from maybe some Premier League club, because I think he can play in the Premier League. This is my personal opinion, obviously. I don't think he is good enough to be first or second choice, obviously, but I don't think he's good enough to be third choice also at Liverpool. So, especially if we're getting Konate, now you have Van Dijk, Konate, you have who else is there? Gomez, Matip. So, on any given day, if all four of them are fit, then Nat Phillips is not going to be there in that conversation. So, so my thing is, okay, if we get a good offer for him, sell him. And the other thing is, like, Reece Williams has started to sort of look a little bit better towards the end of the season. Still making mistakes, still, inexperienced, and, this is a huge step up for him playing for Liverpool. But he's looked better, like, compared to what he was at the start. So if we have Reece Williams as a long-term thing, then Nat Phillips doesn't have a place in the squad, is my opinion. That being said, a lot relies on Matip being fit, which is a whole other question. Now, the other thing sort of wanted to ask was, we've had problems with strikers this season. Not with Mo Salah, but, with Firmino, with Mane, and I've asked this to other people from MCOP as well, mainly Aditya. But do you think he should go, or one of them should go from the club? Because I think Adi was, and I may be a little bit wrong on this, but I think he wanted Firmino gone, and this was back when Firmino couldn't score to save his life. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Firmino, Mane? This whole question of should we get a new forward line, or what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think we are. I think we are good with forward lane right now. So I don't think we need a major change in the forward lane. So I think Mane will come back. So I believe this is just a blip in form, and I think he will come back next season. Firmino, I think is obvious is a decline. So we have been seeing him over the last 2 years, and the drop off has been insane with Firmino. And credit to him, he has scored some important goals of late this season and last season also. But there's a room for improvement in the forward line. I think there has been contradicting reports in the media. So one publication states that we need a proper forward line, and another states that we are in hunt for a wide winger and wide player. So I think both should stay. It's a great thing. Because I think Minamino and Origi and Shaqiri will be sold this summer. So it's pretty obvious that we have to keep these two.
Definitely, and we also have Diogo Jota, who's in really good form. So you mentioned we're linked to a few wide players. Obviously we mentioned Sancho, and we know what he can do. But Rafinha is another person who's been named. Would you take Rafinha because he's a cheaper option, might be willing to come off the bench, or would you want Sancho to, directly be in the starting 11? Because if Sancho's coming, he's going to be in the starting 11, is my opinion. So maybe we'll see Sancho, Jota and Salah maybe play together or something like that. Which one do you want? Do you want a good bench option, or do you want like a surefire starter is what I'm asking.
It's a pretty tough question. So, I think if by Sancho, I think Mane will be moved on. So I don't think Salah is going to be moved on. There is no chance. He has just scored 30 goals this season. I think if Sancho is bought, Mane will be moved on. And I don't know. I'm just too. I don't know if Mane is going through a blip or through a decline. Just too tough to predict right now. So I hope we had a quality forward player this summer. That's all I hope.
Definitely, but given FSG, they're spending, we don't know what they're going to do. Speaking of FSG and all of that, early on in the season we had this whole big picture controversy. Then we had the Super League come on later on in the season. What were your opinions on that? Off air, I know what you think, but just to talk
So
about
yeah,
it. Like, what were your thoughts on what FSG are trying to do with the structure of football right now?
so I don't think it's fair on smaller clubs bringing in the European Super League. So West Ham finished this season, and then Arsenal and Spurs didn't finish in the top six. So it gives an opportunity for West Ham to play in Europe, and Arsenal anyways won't play, and Spurs are playing in the Conference League. So yeah, when you compare the Europa League and the Conference League, obviously Europa League is more attractive, and there'll be more cash in Europa League. Yeah, that's how smaller clubs become bigger clubs. So it's not about a success overnight. It's about building it slowly and steadily. And I think I stand with that. It's unfair and smaller club, and I think the FSG were running for the cash. That's all I can say. It's true that they're trying to expanding our club into some bigger thing, but yeah, I think FSG were just running for the cash.
Yeah, I think they were just being greedy. I think that sums it up pretty well. Actually, they were just being greedy. They were going after the cash. No concern for players, for fans. Because even the players, even people like Jordan Henderson, who's the captain of the club, even he was left out of the discussions. Jurgen Klopp was left out of the discussion. So, which I thought was pretty bad. Now we'll go into a little bit of rapid fire. Okay, so I'll ask you a few questions. Nothing too big. First thing that comes to your mind. So, favorite moment of this season? Alisson goal against West Brom. I think pretty much everyone has that, because I think the only thing that would have topped Alisson's goal was going to be if we won the title, but obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, Alisson against West Brom. Okay. Best performer for Liverpool this season. Best player. Salah. Yeah. Golden Boot contender. Harry Kane won it in the end, but Golden Boot contender. Best young player. So Curtis, yeah. So it was interesting because I don't think we have seen as much of Curtis as I thought we would. Early on in the season, I thought Curtis will be a little bit more into the team, and initially he kind of started the Champions League games and stuff like that. But later on, it just second half of the season, obviously, I don't remember if he had any injuries. Did he have any injuries?
No, he had injuries. That's why he didn't play mostly.
Yeah, but so I thought we'd see a little bit more of Curtis, obviously, but hopefully next year, especially with Wijnaldum gone, hopefully next year he can step up and take a bigger role. One player you were disappointed by?
Keita.
Of course. Okay, one player who played a lot but disappointed you.
Played a lot.
Mane, yeah. Because I think Naby Keita, he had injuries and stuff. So, I mean, that's a disappointment in its own way. But, so we can't blame him sometimes. But, yeah, performance-wise, I think you're right. Sadio Mane, I think some of the chances he missed were quite bad. But actually, my answer to that was Gini Wijnaldum. And I know it's not because he's leaving the club or anything. And I think for the last few weeks or something, he did really well. But there was so many games in this season where we were wondering where Wijnaldum was or what he was doing on the pitch. Because half the time, I don't know if you remember, but there were so many messages on the Liverpool groups that we both are part of where, there'd be a counter attack and then Wijnaldum would just slow everything down. Every time. And that was very frustrating. Okay. If you had all the money in the world, aside from Messi and Ronaldo, and I don't know if you still want to bring them, but who would you bring into this club? You're allowed to bring one player, how much ever money it costs.
One player.
And doesn't matter. Mbappe. Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't matter the team also, because if you wanted to bring Ruben Diaz into the team, I would be perfectly okay with it. But that's fine. Favorite moment, favorite game of the season. This could be, just to sort of, before you answer, this could be something that we've lost also, but you thought was a good game. Like overall, just as a fan watching the game, you thought it was good. Or this could be something that we've won, close game, big game, doesn't matter. Which game is your game of the season?
Old Trafford 4-2. Old Trafford 4-2. It's between Old Trafford 4-2 or Spurs 2-1 at home.
Spurs 2-1. Was this the Bobby Firmino scored? Yeah, that was a good game. I think there were fans for that game, right?
Yeah.
No wonder Bobby scoring in that game. But yeah, Old Trafford 4-2 is a good answer. I was going to go with Crystal Palace 7-0. Because biggest win of the season, and I think it helped us with goal difference also in the end. It would have helped us with goal difference also in the end. So for me, 7-0. But yeah, I think that pretty much. One final one. Goal of the season. Us apart from Alisson against West Brom, just quality of goal wise.
Yeah. Team goal must be against West Ham, the Salah one with Sakiri.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was brilliant.
Goal on individual brilliance.
Has to be something with Mo Salah, no?
Yeah, probably say Salah versus Leeds, the second goal.
Salah versus Leeds. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was that volley, right?
Yeah,
volley. Yeah. That was a brilliant goal. For me, my favorite goal was the West Ham goal, the team goal against West Ham. I didn't think of the Leeds one, but I think more or less whatever goal we pick, I think Salah is going to be involved in it somehow, because I think without him, this team would not have survived this season.
Yeah.
Before we finish the podcast, we have to talk about Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
So we've seen on the WhatsApp groups also. Is this Jurgen Klopp's best season as a manager, given all the injuries that we've had, or do you still think the season we won the Champions League is better, or the season we won the Premier League is better, or which is your best Jurgen Klopp season? And why? Yeah.
Probably say the season when you won the Champions League, because we are also mad running in the league also. We got, I think we were at 97 at the end.
We were at 97, lost to City by 1 point.
Yeah, a painful season at the end, but it's the best season I believe for the Jurgen Klopp.
That's something I didn't think of. I think because I think I was too focused on the Champions League win. I didn't think that we were also like fighting for the league till the last day. So and 97 points. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. 97 points, because I would have gone with this season, because I remember Jose Mourinho, and this is not a very similar situation, but Jose Mourinho at Man United, when he finished second, he was like, this is my best achievement, or something along those lines, he said. So for me, it was like, he was saying basically that I had such a weak squad and I finished second. So I was kind of equating Klopp with all these injuries and playing Nat Phillips and Reece Williams and finishing third. I thought, like, from my opinion, this was a better sort of, in some ways, it's a better season than even the season when he managed to win the Premier League or the Champions Leagues. But good point about the league run that we had that year. Final thoughts, final expectations, final thoughts on last year, expectations going into next year.
So, I expected us to charge for the title, but unfortunately, injuries played a huge part this season and we were forced to finish in top four. Top four, we were forced to finish, but and then expectation is, I expect apart from Konate, I expect a midfielder and forward in this transfer window, and I expect us to charge for the title like we should. It doesn't matter if City, Saint Kane or whoever. I expect us to charge for the title and see another mad title race next season.
Definitely. Hopefully we can see a mad title race next season. But thank you so much, Sudar, for joining me. Been a really good episode, really good recording this with you. And we'll see you again. We're recording this for those of you listening, we're recording this a couple of days before the Champions League final between Chelsea and City, but this episode will go out after that. So we're going to do this before we leave. Champions League final predictions. So I don't know which of us is going to, because I know we both are on opposite sides, but I don't know which of us is going to come out looking like a fool. But Champions League final, who's going to win the Champions League? Man City. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going with Chelsea on this one because I don't want Man City to win a treble. But yeah, so one of us is definitely going to look like a fool at the end of this. But we'll see who that is. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Sudar, for joining me once again.
Thank you, Sis.
No problem. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all the support on the podcast. Some episodes, like I mentioned right at the top of the show, have hit 2,000, 2,500 people. Some other episodes have more or less stabilized at 1.5. So thank you guys for the support. We will see you guys again next season with a more revamped, a more renovated show. Got some new stuff planned for next year, but that's something we'll talk about later on in the summer. But thank you for joining me. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Have a great summer, and I will see you guys for season 2.